What's good, G Life? This right here is Killer Cali, gang banging capital. You already know Killer Cali is home to gang banging in itself, where it originated at, where it be going down, with hundreds and hundreds of different gangs, thousands of documented gang members throughout all of California. It gets chaotic and hectic within California. And with such number of gangs within the area, you would think that these gangs, how big could they possibly get? But some of them actually get pretty large. As a matter of fact, here on my channel, I have covered, from largest Hispanic neighborhoods. Now, although these barrios didn't make it on that list, don't get it twisted. That doesn't mean that they're small or nothing like that. No, they're just as large. It just means that at one point they were the dominant ones, the largest ones at a period of time. Since then, obviously, times change. Things change with time. But don't ever get it twisted. It doesn't change the facts that these neighborhoods are still large in themselves. And these neighborhoods that we'll be covering today are the ones that attach the big or Grande title to their name because at one point they were probably the largest neighborhoods within their area. So with no further ado, let's get into it.
Street raised, I was brought up with a G state. Peep game, those who didn't catch one to your brain. Stay in your lane, never wolfed it, boy, I never fake. Watch them break, watch them fall, still I remain. Never change, never try to come and rearrange. Never hate, never tripping on somebody's plate. That shit is lame, leave that type of shit for the dames. The streets don't play, oh catch up, watch your life escape. It's one game, homie, that you shouldn't play. There's real soldiers in the streets gunning every day. This shit is normal in the vital part of every day. It ain't great, but I'm loyal, so I'll never change. I keep repeating, but I mean it, never lose your way. Heed the warning and the missing just for talking brave. Fuck my enemies, two faces and all the snakes. Now for this matter, just name the time and name the place. We'll get it active, fuck the gap, and I'm in face to face. Real gangsters never fold, then we never shake. I was brought up to...
You are now watching M.O.D.
Now, in order to find the first neighborhood that has a big or Grande title to them, we actually have to be maneuvering our way to the area that is known as Boyle Heights. Boyle Heights is the area that is located on the east of Los Angeles, but is not considered East LA. I know people get them confused. Whenever people think of areas or gangs like White Fins and Evergreens and Viennese and stuff like that, they automatically assume that they're located in East LA, but that's not the case. Boyle Heights and East LA are two different areas. As a matter of fact, these individuals don't like when people confuse the areas. You know what I mean? They take pride in where they come from, and there's a heavy rivalry between like the East LA portion and the Boyle Heights. So the confusion, it does tend to get people, rowdied. So you don't want to confuse the two. They're two different things. One is located on the east of Los Angeles, east side Los Angeles. The other one is East LA. You know what I mean? Even with rivalries that transpires even to the schools like Garfield and Roosevelt. The rivalry is heavy. Anywho, we shall be maneuvering our way to the area that is known, or the very infamous projects, the Ramona Garden housing projects. The Ramona housing garden projects were projects that were built, since the World War II, to help, low income housing families, help them get by. Although, when you put a bunch of people that are barely getting by in one area, and then you add crime and everything, it tends to get chaotic. It's gonna go all bad. You know what I mean? It's gonna be the perfect recipe for disaster. Hence, it created one of the most notorious and largest neighborhoods within this side of Los Angeles, which is known as the Barrio Big Hazard or Hazard Grande. Hazard Grande here in the Ramona housing projects is their home, their domain, their dojo, where they've been getting it on and cracking since the 1930s that this neighborhood was established. So although it's not as old as some of these other gangs like the Maravillas or the White Fins, don't get it twisted, bro. These guys still have a reputation to them and are very notorious. Have been hit with sweeps and all kinds of shit. This neighborhood is definitely heavily rooted into the Southern California gang banging world. Not gonna get into those topics or nothing like that, and I would prefer if people don't leave it in the comments when it comes to certain individuals and stuff like that, because I will be deleting those kind of comments. We just don't talk about stuff like that on here when it comes to organizations and stuff like that. But the Hazard Grande neighborhood, at least from what I've been told, it has been said to be at least up to 800 members. So the Hazard Grande, although there's other gangs out there that are bigger and has spread out, further, like Florence, 18, MS, and neighborhoods like that are in the thousands. Don't get it twisted. For this area, Hazard is a very, very large active gang. Considering they have the projects, and the projects, you have people moving out, moving in. It's like an endless supply of new recruitment members because the area is in the trenches, in the ghettos. It's where it's chaotic. So it definitely pops off. So, of course, people growing up and seeing that lifestyle, it tends to corrupt and keeping the cycle going. Sad but true. Now, the Barrio Hazard Grande has several, clicas, that were smaller cliques that were doing their own thing, but then ended up becoming part of the Hazard neighborhood, like the Ricardo Streets and the HRGs and several other groups that have become clicas now of the Hazard neighborhood. Hazard has always been like that, where there's like smaller crews within the area that they just tend to get them to become a part of their neighborhood, making them that's why they're so large and keeping them going, because they do have several clicas to their barrio. Like I said, the Hazard neighborhood is just a very large neighborhood that controls all the Ramona projects. They have it on lockdown throughout Lancaster, throughout the Hazard Park, throughout Hazard Street itself. What is named after is named after the street Hazard. That is where they got their name. And Hazard Grande, like I said, because when they first started, they were a large neighborhood. When they first started, they started already off the bat. They were already a few dozen members to them, so they were large when they first started, giving them the name Hazard Grande, Big Hazard, because they became deep really fast, with a short amount of time. So at one point, they were a very, very large neighborhood within this area. Like I said, it may not be one of the more larger of the homeboy neighborhoods, but don't get it twisted. They still have numbers and still hold it down for the Hazard Grande right there representing for theirs. Now, to find the next neighborhood with the Grande attached to it, we actually now have to be maneuvering our way to the SGV, the San Gabriel Valley. Now, the San Gabriel Valley is home also to very old neighborhoods, established barrios that have been right here for a very long time, that are respected, from, Puente, El Monte Flores to, several others. And this is home to one of these Grande neighborhoods. Now, to be exact, we shall be heading towards the area that is known as Bassett. And Bassett is home to the barrio BG. BG translating to Bassett Grande. Or you can see it as, BB, Big Bassett. Bassett Grande is a well-established neighborhood that has already been right here for a very long time. This is also another old-school barrio, that already dates back, it's one of the SGV's, oldest barrios, and they mean business, bro. You know what I mean? At least from what I was told, that this barrio is said to have 600 members to them. So a very, very large neighborhood. Consider it, the SGV is not as populated as, Los Angeles is. For you to have 600 members, I mean, that's a whole lot of manpower. You know what I mean? And Bassett has a large chunk of territory, from big Delton Avenue to Temple Avenue, Wilson, from Van Wig, from Siesta, Santa Maria, Bastille, Pritchard, Stitchman. All of that is what's considered the Bassett Grandes Barrio, which is a large chunk of territory, like I said. And they do have the manpower, to cover all of this area. Like I said, 600 members is a lot of members. And this neighborhood is another one that has been hit with sweeps and all kinds of stuff, because it definitely cracks within this area. It is one of the SGV's most largest and well-respected neighborhood. Like I said, you do have other ones like Lomas and El Monte and, etc. But Bassett's right in there too. You know what I mean? And when they did start, like I said, with Hazard right off the bat, when they were first starting, they were a large, group in itself. When they first became a neighborhood, the reason hence why they had the title Big Bassett, Bassett Grande, they were one of the largest ones before. They had the manpower. I mean, you do have other gangs that are large within the area, like in Monteflores and Puente, that are in the probably larger, because of the amount of territory that they have. But don't count, Bassett out for the count, bro. They're right there too. You know what I mean? And they are known for the night owls. That's why you see the owl tattoos, the owl and the graffiti and all of that. That's their night owls clique. Like I said, that's what they're known for, los tecolotes, the night owls right here representing for Bassett. And like I said, they got real individuals, who done real things. They've been hit with everything in the book. They've been, you see them on the news countless times with all these RICOs and sweeps and all kinds of shit, bro, allegedly, Like I said, bro, this is one of the SGV's most notorious neighborhoods. Bassett Grande ain't playing. I got some homies out of Bassett Grande. Shout out Big A. Shout out Little Chino. Shout out Villain. Shout out all the homies from Bassett Grande that hold it down and keep representing for theirs. They haven't gone nowhere. Still larger than ever and still continue to represent theirs and hold it down for that Bassett Grande. Now, to find the next Grande neighborhood on the list, we actually have to be traveling to the area of the OC. Yup, Orange County. For those who are not familiar, Orange County is home to very large and very old neighborhoods as well, from barrios like, Santanitas to the Barrio F troops, to, all kinds of barrios that are already, La Jolla, that have already been right here for a long time too, in these communities of Orange County, that have been doing their thing. Like I said, Orange County back then was a very chaotic area. You had a lot of racism. For those who are not familiar, Orange County was home to a strong white supremacist group presence. There was KKK members, skinheads, biker gangs, etc. They used to mistreat the raza and pick on them, hogtie them, all kinds of shit. Law enforcement were members of the Ku Klux Klan too. This is all documented. People could go look it up themselves. So the raza was getting abused. They couldn't even call law enforcement because law enforcement also used to participate in the robberies and beatings of these families. So these, areas had to, band together to create, little groups to defend for themselves. That is originally why these barrios started, but, through time, it manifested into something completely different, with drugs, murder, all kinds of shit. Now, what the barrios are and what they used to be is not the same thing, but, that is the reason why they started. Now, to be exact, we shall be heading towards the area that is known as Stanton. Stanton right here is home to the barrio Big Stanton, Stanton Grande. Stanton is already a barrio that has been well established, despite what individuals are going to want to say. This barrio has been established in the 1912s that this barrio was established. So yes, Orange County did have some old barrios already predating a lot of the LA barrios. Like I said, a lot of these areas, that people, leave out, like the Inland Empire, San Diego, Orange County. People have to, San Fernando Valley. People have to keep this in mind. They have old barrios already too that predate a lot of Los Angeles barrios. So people, always leave that out. They get it twisted. Throughout Southern California, these neighborhoods were being established throughout everywhere because, the raza was being mistreated and they had to fend for themselves and form these groups, and that was throughout everywhere because the discrimination was occurring, throughout wherever there was raza. So raza has to band together to fend for themselves. And now, although people may look at the Stanton area and be like, nah, it's lovely there. There's a lot of Asians there. Nah, like I said, just because the area looks like that now doesn't mean that that's how the area has always looked or has always been. Now, since gentrification's been hitting and stuff like that, it may look lovely now, but that's not how it always was. And like I said, don't judge a book by its cover. Just because it looks nice doesn't mean that it is nice. You know what I mean? You always got to be aware of your surroundings because it does get chaotic. And the Stanton's neighborhood was everything that was throughout Central Avenue. So that's throughout Central, Flower, Chester, Rose, Monroe, Elm Chair, Oak Street. All of that is what's considered the Stanton's neighborhood. And from what I was told is that the Stanton neighborhood is at least about 500 members to them. So a very large neighborhood within this area. One of Orange County's, largest, neighborhoods. like I said, they may not be as large as like F Troop, who's in the thousands, but don't get it twisted. 500 is still a lot of manpower to have. Although people may think that I'm exaggerating these numbers, bro, you can go look it up yourself. You know what I mean? They already have a lot of these guys documented, arrested and all kinds of shit, bro. Like I said, it definitely be cracking in Orange County as well, not just in the Los Angeles area, but throughout all of Southern California, throughout these regions. The Big Stanton is a neighborhood that has been well established and continue to do theirs and hold it down for the Big Stanton Grande right there.